Hey guys, we're back at Princeton Community Television. I'm Jenny.
I'm Misha.
I'm Rachel.
And we are here with Hilary Kayle Crist, who is part of the College Entrance Edge. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is?
College Entrance Edge is a new business that I just launched, and the purpose of it is to help high school students with their college application essays and with their interviews. And the reason I started it is because, for one thing, I love to solve problems. I've been doing that all my life. And I get great satisfaction out of helping people. And we just happened to make some friends recently who just sent their kids off to college. And they were complaining about the fact that they really wished they'd had someone help with the essays and with the interview because they weren't really getting enough attention from the counselors and from the teachers. And I thought to myself, here I am with all of this background that I have as a writer, as an editor, as an interviewer, and as an actress. And these are the perfect skills. And I thought, this is a great business that I can get into. So I just launched it. It's brand new. And I did do what I call a beta test with a couple of students so that I could work out how to interact and get the results that I wanted. And here we are today.
Wow. Well, for us, Kids being, one of the teen shows here on Princeton Community Television, these two are juniors, so it's right around the corner for them to start doing this.
Right.
So obviously we're going to have a lot of personal questions, even me too, because it's scary for me.
Okay.
So how exactly, when did you come up with the idea to do it?
Well, as I said, I came up with the idea when I heard from parents that this was a need that they had. And I kind of brainstormed with myself about, I've been a professional editor for about 30 years. I've been a professional writer for 30 years. I've been a professional actress for the last 10 years. And I've been interviewing people for a long time. I actually pre-interviewed authors on the Today Show back in the 70s. And I tried to train them so that they would come up with precise, clear answers. And that's what I do with people who are going to have interviews. And the thing with the application, the essay is the one place on the application where you can really set yourself apart. Because, for example, you three ladies, even though I know you're all not applying, you're very bright. I'm sure you have will get great teacher recommendations. I imagine you have good grades. You probably test well. What is going to set you apart on that application? The essay gives you a chance to really show what kind of an individual you are.
So how would you recommend that we set ourselves apart? Like a writing style or demonstrating personality?
Well, what is your passion? That's what I would focus on. What is the thing that you love to do? What is the thing that that makes you excited? And is that something that you could write about? I mean, it was funny. There was I've gone to some high school events where they have college planning night. And one of the parents came up to me and she said, I don't know what to do. My son loves dragons and dungeons. What am I supposed to do? Or is it Dungeons and Dragons? What's the right term?
It's
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. That's how with it I am. Anyway, she said he was obsessed with the game. And she couldn't imagine getting him to write an essay. And I told her, why don't you just have him write about Dungeons and Dragons? I mean, imagine there are thousands of essays that are written, and every college reads all of the essays. So if you're on the admissions staff, you're reading hundreds of essays. Imagine if you come across one talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm thinking if I had met with a kid, I would say, well, what if the first line was, I killed 3 dragons today? That would get someone's attention. So that's what I do to try and make someone think about what they really love to do and what they really love to write about, and what that would set them apart.
So what's your process when working with these students?
Well, as I said, the process is trying to find out what they really are passionate about, what they care about, and see if we can come up with something that they would like to write. The wonderful thing about the prompts there's a common application which goes to a lot of colleges, and they have a list of essays. And the great thing this year is that they're basically saying you can write about anything that you want to. So I need a 650-word essay, which is about 2.5 type pages, on any subject that excites you. So that really gives you a lot of freedom about what you could focus on. So it would be a matter of meeting with a kid and finding out what interests them the most.
Out of curiosity, would having complete freedom also present a problem to kids that would perhaps have like preferred a prompt? Like they don't know where to start?
Well, they do have the specific prompts. So there are essays where you could talk about, you know, some major turning point in your life or a person who made a difference in your life, that kind of thing. So you can definitely get some guidance from there. I know what you mean. When there's too much freedom, it's sort of like, ooh, where do I start?
Yeah.
But that's where I feel like someone like myself can help you focus on, you know, what do you love, what do you like to do, what do you like to read? Let's say you love chocolate.
Okay.
Okay, you know, what about an essay on where I went to get the best chocolate in the world? I mean, there are different ways of doing things. Or let's say you love pets. You have a favorite dog or a favorite cat. What if you wrote the essay from the point of view of your cat?
I would like to read that essay.
You know?
Yeah.
Right. You want to do something different that's out of the box. You want to show that you know how to write, but you want to show some individuality.
So you also do the interview part of the college application.
Right.
So do you tell them any answers that just sound fake to college?
No, I don't give them answers. I just help a student go through some of the obvious questions that are going to be asked. You can be sure that any college will say to you, why did you pick this college? So that means you need to do some research about the college. I mean, I assume that everyone who's applying is applying to specific schools for a specific reason, and that's why it's so great to have guidance counselors, because they can point you in the right direction of where to apply. So if a school has a particular, let's say you're interested in Shakespeare, and they have a junior year abroad where you go to England and you're in Stratford-on-Avon. Well, when you're answering the question, why did you want to go to the school, that would be something that you would mention. Another thing that interviewers often ask is, what is your best trait and what is your worst trait? So these are things to think about. Everyone has both. No one is perfect. And sometimes it's hard to come up with, well, gee, what is the worst thing about me, or what is the best thing about me? But that's why it's important to do a practice interview, or to think about these questions before you actually do the interview. What's good about having someone like me is because as an actor, I know what it's like to take stage, and I try and help the student with that idea. You're the center of attention. You need to own it. You need to look into the eyes of the person that you're talking to, contact, and be natural. Try to be natural. Try to own, you know, if you're a procrastinator, say, I'm a procrastinator, and talk about how you got through that, how you were able to get the exam in on time even though you're a procrastinator, or get the essay in on time. You know, there are things that you can do that make you special in the interview.
Wow. It's a lot to take in, because like I mentioned earlier, college admission is like a huge wall. And I was about to ask you, do you get students that have like one school that they know about, or students that really just have no idea where they want to go?
Well, I'm not really focused on that part of the process. That's why it's really important to have a relationship with your guidance counselor. I mean, it could be that, you know, like you mentioned earlier before we started the interview, that you're interested in modeling and film, and so you were thinking about going to LA or New York, where they have schools that focus on that. If you have a particular interest, it makes it easier for the guidance counselor to help you decide what schools to apply to. I mean, and also some high school students aren't ready for college. They need a year to maybe get a job, make some money, take some time to think about what they want to do. I would encourage anyone who isn't sure about college to get a job so that they're busy, and to maybe take a course or two at a community college so that they keep going with the academic feeling, you know, having deadlines, reading what they need to read, taking tests, so that when you jump back into college, it's not culture shock about what's expected of you in the academic world.
So, like a gap year?
Yeah, I know a lot of people do take gap years, but many students actually apply to college and get in, and then they take the gap year. So they don't have it hanging over their head, what am I going to do when I get back? So I know that that's something that a lot of kids do. You know, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was some people will say, well, why do we need you? Because they're guidance counselors and because they're English teachers. And I have to say, anyone who works in education, my hat goes off to them because they're working on the future of our country. They're working with students, and it's a hard job. But a guidance counselor is really focusing on your academic skills, your behavioral skills, your social skills, and they're helping you decide what path to take post-graduation, helping you with a college, helping you with a vocation. Similarly, an English teacher is helping you with writing skills, with language communication, with an appreciation of literature, but they're busy. They're not going to have the one-on-one time that I have with a student, and I'm a professional writer, I'm a professional editor, I'm a professional interviewer, and having the acting skills, I bring a lot to the table for the process of the application essay and the process of the interview that counselors and teachers just don't have time for.
So you mentioned that you were a professional actress for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
How has that shaped, well, you mentioned that it kind of helps you like decide how to set the students apart. Could you go in depth a little bit more about how being an actress has...
How being an actress helps me with this?
Mm-hmm.
If you learn how to act, and I understand the three of you met in an acting class, as you
Yes.
know, if you're comfortable on stage and you're comfortable in front of people, you can use that skill wherever you go. A lot of kids aren't used to being on stage or to performing, and when you're being interviewed, that's a performance. So, you know, I know some improv games, I might help loosen up a person to do that. Just that notion of what it's like to be center stage, I think, is something that helps me. Even to be on this show, to be an actor, helps me because I feel very comfortable. I'm at ease being in front of people. And that's a skill that I think you can use in all aspects of your life. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Because
Good.
I think the three of us have really seen, well, at least I've seen, I used to be pretty shy, and then I started going to acting classes. And I think it also changes your mindset about things because you also learn to like step into other situations, and sometimes it's also easy to fade into the background.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, being center stage, the attention is on you. And for some people, that's uncomfortable. And that's kind of like what you're doing in your program is saying it's time to focus on you. Like, what
Right.
do you want?
Right.
Have any students ever had trouble, like, coming with what they were interested in?
Well, as I say, this is a new business for me, so I haven't worked with a lot of students. I've just worked with a couple, and the few that I've worked with, they kind of knew what they wanted to do, or they were hoping that they would figure things out in college because they know there's such a wide range of subjects that they can
Oh, yeah.
study. You know, no one would expect you at this age to know exactly what you want to do when you graduate. You know, that's a lot. I mean, some people know. Some people know from early on, like you want to be a model, you want to be an actress in film or TV. Some people know they want to go to medical school or they want to be a vet. They have something in them that drives them, so they have a direction. But for students that don't, that's the wonderful thing about a liberal arts college. There's so many possibilities there. I know there's also the military. There are military colleges, and there are some people who feel they want to serve their country, and they want to take that route. And what's interesting about military schools is they have very different criteria of what they're looking for. You may not have the best grades, but if you're a leader and you show leadership skills, that's something that they're looking for. That's very important to them. You know, the other thing about college entrance edge is that it's important to remember the interview part. And I know that not every school requires an interview, but I think it's important to go to the campus, make your presence known, have a contact with someone in the admissions department. And I think it's better to have an interview than not, if there's a choice.
So what's a situation that really sticks out in your head that was unique?
In terms of what? You mean my business, or in terms
Anything.
of anything?
I always get the most interesting stories like that.
What's unique about your company?
Well, what's
really
unique
jumped
about
out at-
yeah, what's unique about my company, because that's a good question. There are people who offer the same services. I insist on working in person. I'm not going to do Skype. I'm not going to talk to someone over the phone. I'm not going to do it online. I want to meet with a person in person. And that is what makes me different, because I want to have that one-on-one connection so that I can really connect with a person and find out what it is about them that makes them a special individual. And that's going to help them with their essay, and that's going to help them with their interview. So that's what makes me different.
Wow. Still wow.
You're very sweet.
Wow.
You know, the other thing
Thank
is,
you.
parents sometimes wonder, what kind of role should they play in the whole process. And a lot of high schools really recommend that the parents don't get too involved.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, you should be preparing your child to go out into the world and to be independent. That's kind of what I believe parenthood is all about. It's hard because it's hard to let our babies go. It's hard to think, oh my gosh, they're all grown up, they're going to be on their own. But that's something that you need to do. And the college application is actually a good place for you to say to your child, look, this is something you need to do. I know you want to do, but I'm going to put that in your hands. And it's not, I know you feel like it's overwhelming, like it's this huge wall, but at least for the application process, it's very specific about what they need. You know that you have to take certain tests. Your guidance counselor can tell you whether the SATs or the ACTs are the way to go, depending upon what your skills are, what your colleges are looking for. Each piece is something, you sort of take each piece at a time. And if you're worried about the wall, I would say, take one brick at a time. It's just a brick. You can handle that. But, try not to be overwhelmed by the whole process. It's just little pieces that you need to take care of. And if parents, it never hurts for a parent to remind someone, don't forget this is the deadline. I wouldn't let a student, I wouldn't stay so out of it that the student misses the deadline for an application. But they shouldn't be on top of the student. Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? No, that's not good. You really have to let someone take responsibility. Now, what grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
So so you've already taken SATs?
Yes,
right?
I have.
So how do you think you are with the process? Are you ready to start looking at colleges?
I started looking at colleges already, and I think I do I'm gonna take it again, SATs again, but I'm still figuring out what I want to do, and I'm just not. I have started looking, but I'm gonna start looking. Also, when school ends again, I'm keeping looking because I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I did start looking.
Right. And how about where are you in the process?
I'm like,
Oh, you're
this is
just
the
a freshman,
process.
right?
I'm over here.
Yeah, right. And you?
I'm a junior.
Right?
I'm going to take the SAT next month.
Mm-hmm.
We have college guidance classes
Right.
at our school. They're like half an hour, so I'll see what happens there.
Right. Yeah, as I said, guidance counselors are really important to help you kind of focus on where you want to go and what schools match your skills the best. And I know there are a lot of classes that help with the essay and all of that. I mean, one thing to take the anxiety out of the whole process is
Yeah.
to if the summer before your senior year, that's the time to write the essay so that it's not hanging over your head while you're in school. That's the time to visit certain college campuses. And that's such an important thing to do, to get a sense of what the college is like. Because each college, if you've started doing that, each
Yeah.
college has a different atmosphere, a different feeling. So it's important to do that. And I have found some people like to, set up a tour and go on an actual tour that they have, or sometimes people just like to show up and go to the cafeteria and see what it's like, because sometimes if you don't like your college tour guide, that may influence how you feel about the college. One hopes that doesn't happen.
I've had so much experiences when I was even going to high school, looking at high
looking at
schools.
different high schools.
The person that took me around, they just gave me a bad view of the high school.
Oh.
I went there, but then I switched high schools, but I just didn't. My person that took me around, I didn't like the person.
Right.
And also, like you said, for the environment with colleges, like I don't know if I want to go to a city or a campus, but I've always wanted to go to a campus.
Right.
And so I went to a lot of like schools in the city, and so the environment was just like not for me, and now I want to go to, like, I want an actual campus. And
Right.
as also when I was younger, I had a cousin, and I always visited when she went to college.
Oh, good.
Tours, I've always went with her, and I got the experience when I was very young.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Even the interview. You can just Google online, what are college interview questions, and there's lots of websites that list all the questions that are asked, and practice answering them. Come up with the answers so that you're comfortable. And when you look at the different lists, you can see, as I said, there's certain questions that they're always going to ask you. And always be prepared with those. And sometimes someone can throw you for a loop, which happened to me. I went to, I would have been in the first women's class at Colgate University. I was looking for acting programs at the time. And I know I'm ancient. And the dean was young and handsome. And I was, let's see now, so I was 17 when I graduated from high school. And he asked, "What is your definition of a good wife?" I did not expect that to be part of my college interview. I don't even know if that was really an appropriate question, but I just thought on my feet and, and gave an answer, so you never know what you're going to be hit with. But, the other thing is to really own who you are. If you're nervous, say, I really feel nervous, but I'm really excited to be here. Just own what you're feeling. And people are sympathetic. They really want to get a chance to know who you are. And being yourself is what I would encourage people to do.
Very interesting. Never knew that. I mean, I've always known that you should, like, be yourself, but, like, how you put in terms, like, own yourself, like, that says a lot.
Well, thank you. But also, I think people tend to have an image of what they're supposed to be like or what they're supposed to do or the kinds of, answers that they're supposed to give. And the most important thing is, think about it. Thousands of students are applying to colleges, and they want someone, part of their campus, who they like, who they think can bring something to the table to the college. And the best thing is to just really be yourself, because no one has your perspective. No one has your point of view. No one has your voice. And I don't mean physical voice. I mean that voice inside of you who says who you are. You are totally an individual, and they want to know who that person is. So don't think, like the three of you, for example, have similar, a similar extracurricular activity, having this television program. But you three are each very different people. And someone might see that list of as I said earlier, grades could be the same, testing could be the same, extracurricular activities could be the same. But what is it about you that is different? And each of you are very different people. So that's something to focus on.
This is an interesting question that I ask to a lot of our guests. Because your program is very unique and kind of like more, it's like new, like on the edge of the beginning, okay?
Okay.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. But I always wonder if there's like a time when you're starting your new company when you think to yourself, like, can I do this? Or if there was like a hard part in creating your company that made you think, like, made you worry perhaps?
Well, it's interesting. I launched this company earlier this year because I wanted to focus on the students that would be applying to college this fall. And I sort of brainstormed with my husband about names, and I came up with College Entrance Edge. What do you think of that name?
I like it.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think
love
it
that
kind of
name.
says
Yeah.
exactly
Like I
what the
said, it's
business
on the
is.
Edge of like
That's
college.
just what I
Like,
said,
it's-
so it's perfect.
it's like
Right.
an entrance
Well,
to
it's, yeah, it's also giving you an edge, you know, that's
Yeah.
the idea. So I really loved the name. And then I came up with a website. And then I started networking. And I've sent things out to some newspapers. I've gone to some college events at various high schools. To be frank, I haven't gotten any business yet because it's still early. People aren't writing their essays as soon as I thought they would. But I'm on this show to hopefully to
Yeah.
get some business.
So
But I don't
guys
feel.
watching you should.
I don't. Yeah. I don't feel like. I don't feel any pressure because. That's. I didn't mention I'm currently a writer and reviewer for Publishers Weekly, and I read a book and write a review every 2 weeks. There's an annual book convention every year, and Publishers Weekly puts out a newspaper for the convention. So I interview authors and publishing executives who are going to be appearing at Book Expo. So that's something else that I do. I'm part of Without a Cue Productions, which is a murder mystery company. In fact, this fall I'll be channeling the actress Agnes Moorehead. I don't know if you've ever heard of a TV show called Bewitched, but I play the
yes.
witch's mother in Dora. So I'll be doing that at Peddler's Village this fall. So I have all these things going on, and I know that this is a business that will happen soon and through word of mouth. I just feel like I just need one student to work with, and that'll get things rolling. So I'm not too concerned. I'm kind of chill about it, and I really appreciate the three of you having me here today.
Yeah.
Well, it was wonderful having you.
Wonderful.
And it's great because we always get really interesting stories, and you put a spin on it that like Jenny said, that we really hadn't thought of, I guess.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's very relevant for us. Me starting high school and then just seeing everything's coming closer.
It helps you guys watching. Now you can come to her and she can
Oh,
help you
yes.
with the college process. So
That's right. College Entrance Edge.
yeah, college entrance
Yeah.
edge.
And of course, we'll have your information somewhere here on the screen.
Okay.
And is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers?
Well, I would just say, don't worry. You have this. You have a unique perspective, and parents chill. Let your students, let your kids take ownership of the process. They're going to get it done. They're going to be young adults out in the world. Get ready for that.
Well, I think that's the best ending that we could have.
Yep.
So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
having you.
Great, thank you.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.